Thank you, everyone, for holding. We are now joined with head coach Keith Richard from Louisiana Monroe. If you have a question for Coach Richard, please press *1 at this time to get in the queue to ask questions. Again, that's *1 to get in the queue to ask questions for head coach Keith Richard from Louisiana Monroe. Coach, before we get started with questions, please give us your thoughts on the season so far and how your expectations are for the rest of the season.
Well, the season, so far has kind of gone like this. We had a very difficult non-conference schedule, strength of schedule in terms of the non-conference, a lot of road games. And going through that, we played a lot of good basketball, but not many wins on the road, and fell short in some games, gave away a game or two, and it became difficult. And then, got into conference play. We'd beaten Lafayette earlier, and then Appalachian State, right around New Year's Eve, and then went on the road again for 4 straight. Played pretty good at Arkansas State and Arkansas Little Rock. Felt like we had a chance to win in both those games, but once again we didn't. And then went out to Georgia and really got spanked by both those teams, and didn't play as well as we had been playing in many of our road losses. So it was difficult, and we really needed to win a game or 2 or 3 along the way to kind of keep ourselves afloat through that schedule, and we didn't. We don't have anybody to blame but ourselves. We had some opportunities, and we didn't take advantage of them. And so then we come home this past week, regroup, reeling a little bit from everything I just said, and confidence a little shaken, all those kind of things that come with tough losses, and we really rebounded nicely this past weekend at home against Troy, and then South Alabama on Saturday. Played very well offensively in both those games, and confidence seemed to start rising again, as the minutes were going by in each of those games, and ultimately played very well offensively, and an area that we had struggled, on the road. So, it came at a good time. We needed to play well and win some games. It felt good to be home again, and so, it's a chance for us to kind of catch our breath for a second, but we certainly want to try to, use what's happened in the last 2 games, to help us move forward.
Thank you very much, Coach. As a reminder to our members of the media, please press *1 at this time to get in the queue to ask questions. Our first questions come from Adam Hunziker with the Monroe News-Star. Adam, please go ahead.
Hey, Keith, how's it going?
Good, Adam.
Hey, we joked leading up to the season a little bit early on about kind of the preseason poll and the Sun Belt and the way everything was projected to go. But, sitting where we are right now, looking at the league standings, and you having a chance to see some of the better teams in this league, do you think we have a clear favorite in the Sun Belt race, or how do you think this thing's going to play out?
Well, I think Arkansas Little Rock has certainly put themselves in a very good position standing here today. They've gone on the road and swept 2 series. And, that I think has put them in a position to possibly do really well. When you do that and you're leading the league and you've already swept 2 series. So, they certainly have put their best foot forward in terms of the league race. But with that said, the league's kind of crazy this year, in terms of, I don't know that things make sense. and so home or away with some games out there. So I wouldn't count anybody out in terms of winning the league or finishing at some certain spot or even making the tournament. I wouldn't count anybody out just yet.
Now, you mentioned some of the crazy ones home and away this year. I think most of the head scratchers have been teams going on the road, and as we know, the home court advantage is one of the great equalizers in college basketball. But do you think that's magnified more in the Sun Belt this year with some of the way some of these games are shaking out?
You talking about the importance of winning at home?
Yes.
Or yeah, I mean that the old saying, win all your games at home and split on the road. You really need to try to, and it's tough to do in this league because there's so much balance, I think, from top to bottom, that it's just as hard sometimes to win at home as it is on the road. Appalachian State going on the road and beating Arkansas State by the amount they did. I mean, unbelievable. Lafayette going to Georgia State, beating them as bad as they beat them there. Those are things that you maybe didn't foresee, and on all the other ones. And so if you can win at home, you better take full advantage of it to have a chance of finishing anywhere in this league.
All right, Coach, I appreciate it.
Okay.
Thank you, Adam. Our next questions come from Troy Schulte with the Arkansas Democrat-Gazette. Troy, please go ahead.
Hey, Keith, how are you?
I'm doing good.
Good. Hey, you mentioned ULR. They're one of obviously the surprising teams in the league. You saw them up here a couple of weeks ago. What impression did you leave that night? Just as how they've made such a big jump from, a short amount of time from last year to this year.
Well, I think that sometimes, obviously, they've done a great job. Obviously, if you don't do what they've done in the non-conference and now in a league, if something, not special is kind of going on. So let me get that out there first. Something really nice is going on with their team and their program. And I think sometimes when there's a new coach comes into a situation, this is not all the time, but you see it every now and then, where it wasn't a NCAA violation change, it wasn't an APR change, it wasn't even a bad program change. Steve Shields ran a good program and was in the mix every year. But I think kind of what happened was with the new staff is that they kept the four best players that were in that program, and through bringing in a new staff, were able to get some other guys, and kind of the perfect storm has kind of come together for them. They don't just have a couple of good players; they got numerous good players. And they've gotten the four, main left holdovers to buy in. And I think winning early does that. They got them to buy into how they wanted to play. And I use Hagens for an example. I mean, he's playing tremendous, just unbelievable. And they've got him to buy into how they want to. Now, he may have not had any choice either, but however it came about, it's really working well. So as we left out of there and we had a close, hard-fought game with them that we lost by one and a really good college basketball game. Those were the thoughts I had, that they've really come in there and things have happened right for them, along with they're doing a hell of a job too, and you see that every now and then across the country, where it's not necessarily a major rebuilding job. It's kind of a new philosophy. Here's 5 or 6 more new guys. and bam, it all works. And I think that's kind of what they got going.
Right. Yeah. And one more, they're playing defense pretty well. I mean, what do they do schematically just to kind of make it hard on opposing offenses? I mean, is it just kind of how they guard or just the pieces that they have, or what did you take away in that respect?
Well, they really work hard on not giving the opponents layups, and probably as good as anybody in our league. And I think they stay committed to it, maybe more so than some of us. They stay really committed to, not giving up layups, and it's really it's bode well for them. It's played out really, really well for them over the course of the season and over the course of games. And I mean that they stay really hard-headed about protecting their rim, and it's been a real key to their wins.
All right, thanks, Keith.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Troy, and thank you, Coach. That's all the questions we have for today. We appreciate your time.